It begins with a drink that never exists. Not wine, not beer, not spirits, not even the earliest forms of fermentation. From the very beginning of human history, something is missing. Sugar never transforms into alcohol. Fermentation never creates intoxication. The process simply does not work. People discover it. They try. They leave fruit to rot. They store grains. They experiment. But nothing happens. No effect. No altered state. No warmth spreading through the body. No loss of control. Alcohol never enters the human story. First, no one notices, because you cannot miss what has never existed. Water is water. Juice is juice. Grains become bread. Fruits are eaten fresh or dried. But nothing becomes something else. Nothing changes the mind, and that absence quietly reshapes everything. In ancient times, early civilizations gather around food and drink. But their gatherings are different. There is no intoxication, no blerdegis, no altered behavior. People talk, eat, rest, but they remain fully aware, fully present, because there is nothing that changes their state. And this changes culture, because alcohol was never just a drink. It was a tool, a social bridge, a ritual, a way to lower barriers. Without it, interaction remains more controlled, more intentional, more direct. Conversations are clearer, but also more guarded, because nothing softens the moment. Nothing reduces fear or hesitation. Meanwhile, something deeper is missing. Celebration, not the act of gathering, but the feeling of release. In many human cultures, alcohol created a temporary escape from stress, from responsibility, from reality itself. Without it, that escape must come from somewhere else. Music, dance, storytelling. But these remain conscious experiences. They do not alter perception in the same way. They do not remove control. So human behavior remains more stable, more predictable, less extreme. There are fewer moments of chaos, fewer moments of loss of control, but also fewer moments of complete emotional release. Meanwhile, medicine evolves differently. In many parts of history, alcohol was used as a disinfectant, as a pain reliever, as a basic medical tool. Without it, early medicine lacks one of its simplest aids. Cleaning wounds becomes harder. Preventing infection becomes more difficult. Pain management is more limited. Surgery is more dangerous, because there is nothing to dull the experience. Other methods develop: herbs, physical restraint, primitive technique. But none are as simple or as effective. So survival changes. Infections spread more easily. Recovery is harder. And this slows medical progress, because certain solutions are never discovered. At the same time, something else changes. Religion. In many cultures, alcohol played a role in rituals. Wine in ceremonies, drinks in offerings, symbols of transformation. Without alcohol, these rituals evolve differently. Symbolism changes, practices shift, because one of the most powerful symbolic substances never exists. Meanwhile, economies develop without an entire industry. No breweries, no distilleries, no vineyards. Entire sectors of agriculture and trade are different. Land is used differently. Resources are allocated differently, because one of the most demanded products in human history is missing, and that affects everything connected to it. Farming, trade routes, local economies, urban development, all slightly altered by its absence. But perhaps the biggest change is psychological. Humans never experience intoxication. They never lose control of their thoughts in that specific way. They never experience the altered perception that alcohol creates. And this shapes behavior. People remain more aware, more responsible, less impulsive, but also less free in certain moments, because alcohol often allowed people to act differently, to say things they would not normally say, to feel things more intensely, Without it, expression remains more controlled, more filtered. Human interaction becomes more precise, but also more restrained. Meanwhile, something else quietly disappears. Mistakes. Not all mistakes, but a certain kind. The kind made under influence. The kind that changes lives. The kind that leads to accidents, poor decisions, or unexpected consequences. Those moments are fewer, because the condition that created them does not exist. And that makes the world safer in some ways. More stable, more predictable, but also different, because some of those moments, while destructive, also led to change, to unexpected outcomes, to human stories shaped by loss of control. Without alcohol, those stories never happen. History becomes slightly more controlled, slightly more calculated, but also less chaotic. Meanwhile, societies develop with a different rhythm. Evenings are quieter, gatherings are shorter, because nothing extends the moment artificially. People do not linger under intoxication. They return to their lives sooner, rest more, work more consistently, and over time, this creates a different kind of humanity. More stable, more aware, more controlled, but also less experienced in losing control. Because losing control was part of understanding limits. And without that experience, understanding becomes more theoretical, less lived. As centuries pass, the absence of alcohol becomes invisible, because it was never there. Humanity does not compare, does not question, does not imagine what it could have been. But something subtle remains missing, a certain kind of release, a certain kind of escape, a certain way of stepping outside of reality for a moment. And as the world continues without ever knowing intoxication, a quiet question begins to form. If humans never learned how to lose control, did they lose something important? Because sometimes in losing control, people discovered parts of themselves they could not reach any other way. And in a world without alcohol, those parts remain hidden forever. At first, humanity believes nothing is missing. Life continues. People wake, work, build, love, and rest. Societies grow. Cities expand. Empires rise and fall. From the outside, history still unfolds. But over time, something subtle begins to reveal itself. Not as a gap, but as a difference. Because alcohol was never only about intoxication. It was about transition, a shift from control to release, from tension to ease, from structure to chaos. Without it, those transitions must come from somewhere else. And often they do not come at all. Daily life becomes more consistent, more predictable. People return home after work. They eat, they talk, they sleep, but evenings feel different, shorter, more direct, because there is no substance stretching the moment, no slow drifting of time, no altered state where conversations wander, deepen, or unravel. Interaction remains clear, focused, but also limited, because without that shift, people rarely step outside their usual patterns. And this begins shaping personality. Humans become more controlled, more disciplined, more aware of their actions, but also more contained, because there are fewer moments where barriers drop completely. Meanwhile, relationships evolve differently. People communicate without the influence of intoxication. There are fewer impulsive confessions, fewer unexpected expressions of emotion. Love grows steadily, but often more slowly, because vulnerability is harder without something lowering defenses. People think more before they speak, more before they act. This creates stability, fewer mistakes, fewer regrets, but also fewer moments of raw honesty, because honesty often appears when control weakens. And in this world, control remains strong. At the same time, conflict changes. Without alcohol, aggression is different. Fights still happen. Anger still exists, but it is less explosive, less unpredictable, because there is no chemical influence amplifying emotion. Violence becomes more deliberate, less chaotic, and in some ways less frequent, but also more calculated. Because when people act, they are fully aware. There is no excuse, no blurred responsibility. Every action is owned completely. Meanwhile, society begins replacing what alcohol once provided. Other forms of release emerge. Music becomes more powerful. Dance becomes more central. Physical expression replaces chemical escape. Festivals still exist, but they rely entirely on shared experience, not altered perception. People create energy through rhythm, movement, and connection, but the experience remains grounded, present, never drifting into something beyond control. At the same time, some seek deeper escape, because the human need to disconnect from reality does not disappear. Without alcohol, other paths are explored. Meditation, isolation, extreme experiences, risk. People climb higher, run farther, push themselves physically, searching for moments that feel different, moments that break routine, because routine without interruption becomes heavy, and humans naturally look for ways to escape it. Meanwhile, creativity evolves differently. In our world, many artists, writers, and thinkers were influenced by altered states, moments where perception changed, where ideas flowed differently. Without alcohol, those moments must come from the mind alone. Some argue this creates clearer thinking, more focused creativity, less distortion. Others notice something else: fewer chaotic breakthroughs, fewer unpredictable ideas, because controlled minds produce controlled results. Innovation continues, but its nature shifts, more structured, less wild, less driven by altered perception. At the same time, health changes significantly. Without alcohol, many diseases never appear. Liver damage is rare. Addiction takes different forms. Entire medical fields develop differently. Life expectancy increases slightly, because one major source of harm is gone. Accidents related to intoxication never happen. Driving is safer. Workplaces are safer. Homes are safer. The world becomes more stable, more predictable, but also more consistent. And consistency brings something unexpected: monotony, because without disruption, life can feel repetitive. Day after day, routine after routine. Without moments of altered perception, time feels more linear, more controlled. And some people begin noticing this. They cannot explain it, because they do not know what is missing, but they feel it, a sense that life moves without variation, without sudden shifts, without moments where reality feels different. And this leads to a quiet question, not spoken openly, but felt: is control always better? Because while this world avoids many dangers, it also avoids certain experiences. Experiences that came from stepping outside of control, from seeing differently, from feeling differently. And without those experiences, humanity becomes more stable, but also more limited, more grounded, but less varied. And over time, this shapes the entire direction of civilization. Progress continues, but it follows clear paths, predictable patterns, because fewer people step outside the expected. Fewer people take unpredictable risks. Fewer moments disrupt the flow. And as centuries pass, humanity becomes something unique, a species that has mastered control, but never learned what it means to let go. And in that mastery, something quietly remains unanswered. If humans never experienced losing control, did they fully understand what it means to be free? Because sometimes, freedom is not just about choice. It is about stepping beyond yourself, even for a moment. And in a world without alcohol, that moment never comes.